Cloudcast Media.
Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
Welcome to Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community on Cloudcast Media. We are here at Mission Fed headquarters at the Mission Fed Studios because they are the incredibly generous sponsor of Spotlight in the Community, the longest running podcast in the United States for 18 years now, continuously hosted by Drew Schlosberg. However, I am not Drew Schlosberg. I am Charles Parisi with Cloudcast Media, and here with his usual co-pilot, the one and only Kristen Fogel. Kristen, here we are again.
Here we are.
It's another Friday morning.
Another Friday morning without Drew.
Another Friday morning without Drew. He's been on a long vacation.
Yeah. I'm glad he trusts us.
But that's true. Trust is a very important 5-letter word
It really
when we're flying his show.
Yep, you're right.
It's a 5-letter word. Mm-hmm. But the one thing I think everyone in the community can always trust about Drew's show is we're going to be spotlighting some incredible organizations.
Absolutely.
And it's no different right now because we are about to hear a company that I cannot say enough nice things about. I've had the pleasure of knowing this organization for many years, its incredible CEO and some of the team members. And today we're going to meet a new team member, the one and only Haley Veniegas from San Diego Youth Services. She is the Director of Services for this incredible organization we're going to hear more about. Haley, welcome to Spotlight in the Community.
Hello. Nice to be here. Exciting. It's my first time on a podcast.
Woo! So congrats. Yay.
I'm very excited.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And I take it, are you a podcast fan, first and foremost?
I am a podcast fan.
Okay, listen, we are in the podcast industry, of course, and I love to hear some shows that others are listening to. Why don't you start there? Tell us a show that you enjoy.
Oh man. Oh no.
I hate that too.
I know. I'm like, oh man. I really like to listen to some of the true crime podcasts.
Nice.
Everyone loves true crime.
Yeah.
And then I think lately I've been getting into a lot of, I can't really think of one in particular because I just listen to so many, but I feel like I've gotten into a lot of just kind of like relationship or like kind of like marriage counseling type of podcasts. I'm also expecting, so I've been listening to a lot of parenting podcasts.
Dr. Becky, listen to Dr. Becky.
Yeah.
Dr. Becky.
She's the best.
Okay,
Yep.
Dr. Becky.
Yep, good inside.
Is there an audio version of what to expect when you're expecting?
You know what? There probably is. I haven't seen it, but I'll probably look for it after this.
No, that's fantastic. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, God bless.
Thank you.
Is this baby number one?
Yes, it is baby number one.
Oh
Nice.
my gosh, you're
I
about
know.
to. Kristen and I are both parents.
Yep.
You're about to enjoy something really, 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 really special.
Yep.
Oh, I'm excited.
And by the way, I think that's a perfect segue to what we want to talk about today.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing more special in the world than kids
Yeah.
and children, and give them every opportunity, to soar, to thrive. So let's start there, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Because San Diego Youth Services is very focused on helping youth thrive. What does that word mean to San Diego Youth Services?
I think the word thrive really is, I want to say, just like a multi-layer of things, right? So we're looking at just your overall health and well-being. We're looking at, and when I say health, I'm thinking about just your overall physical health, your mental health, emotional, spiritual health. And then I think even just like this level of how can we get you to a place of success? Not what our expectations are of success, but what are your, just plans and expectations of success are, or what that looks like for you. So I think thriving really is just really trying to bring out a lot of the youth that we work with, their most authentic self, to be very successful and in whatever way, shape, or form they want to be, while also supporting them with what I mentioned, just like their overall health and well-being. So I want to say that to the agency, which I hope I'm doing them good right now, is where we think thriving is at. So, yeah.
Thank you for sharing that, because it's so important to not stop at survive,
right?
But take youth to thrive.
Yes.
And so I think it's wonderful when an organization like San Diego Youth Services, that's where they know where their Z is, what the outcome is we're targeting.
Yeah.
So how do you go about? Give us a feel for who you serve.
Yeah.
And how you are lifting them and helping them getting on that road to thriving.
Yeah, so I'm actually one of 5 directors with the agency, and I oversee a lot of our emergency shelter and housing programs. So my age range, because each director kind of has their own kind of like special population that they work with or that their programs focus a lot on. My age range is between 12 to pretty much like 25 years old. And so I think what my programs are doing is really providing that intervention support when we have a lot of young people experiencing homelessness, who are escaping, whatever traumas they're coming from. They're looking for a safe place to stay. And so I want to say within my kind of like division, that's essentially what the focus is for the most part. And what's nice with the agency, since I've been there, is that even though my division is very focused on like youth homelessness and trying to find shelter and housing and just overall safe spaces, that doesn't mean I can't lean on the other directors to look at what are some of the other resources and other programs that are within your division that we can kind of like blend and braid and try to support the youth that we're working with.
Can you share with us, because you mentioned 12 to 24, Haley?
Yeah.
Talk a little bit, because it's my deepest, longest connection to San Diego Youth Services. This is your emergency shelter. Back in the day, it used to be called Storefront. I don't know if you still use that name anymore.
We sure do. Still do. Yeah.
So I go back a long, long way to the late 90s with San Diego Youth Services.
Yeah.
So talk to the community about Storefront.
Yeah. So Storefront is our youth emergency shelter, or we call it the Storefront Youth Emergency Shelter. It is the only minor shelter in San Diego County. We provide shelter services to youth between the ages of 12 to 17. And so we're a licensed 17-bed facility. We have a drop-in center. And honestly, we provide basic support services there, basic needs there. We have free mental health services there. We really do our best to try and work very closely with the community and with like child welfare services to support the youth that we're working with. The whole goal for us is to really try to find youth placement or somewhere safe to go after us, right? Like we want to say that we're kind of just like a small, maybe just like a small transition place for youth. And then we really try to work, 24/7, try to find a place for them to go after, whether that's connecting back with family, whether that's working with social workers, right? Like we're really doing our best as a team to find youth a place to go after that. And it is very challenging. It's hard, but Storefront has been around for a long time, right? This is the foundation of San Diego Youth Services. We started off as a youth homeless shelter, right, in 1970 with our founder, John Wedemeyer, who opened up his home because he saw that there was a need in the community. And now it's 2024, and we still see that need in the community to this day.
Kristen, I've had the distinct privilege of having been there. Okay, and I've been there with my daughter, who was 15 at the time. At the time when the average age of the young girls that were at Storefront was about 15. And like I said, I'm a father of a daughter. You're the mother of a son, and Why do teens find themselves there?
Oh man, I want to say there's a number of things, right? They are fleeing unsafe homes, right? There's a lot of trauma that could be happening in the homes, whether that's emotional, physical, like neglect, right? Abuse happening in the homes. We also get a lot of young people who are actively crossing the border, seeking asylum, and again, just have like nowhere to go. And then we also just have some of our young people who have just been homeless for so long. And, and that's a whole other thing where their families have experienced homelessness. And now the families want to try to get their kids somewhere safe, maybe to just get them off of the streets, get them away from couch surfing or anything like that. And so, I feel like that's kind of like what we're seeing a lot of at the shelter. I mean, everyone comes from very unique backgrounds, right? And so, we just really try to be as low barrier as possible for the young people coming in. And again, really try to just open up our doors and try to work with them as best as we can, right? We have no expectations other than making sure that you're fed, that you've taken a shower, that maybe if you need to do some laundry or something like that, like we have all of those things for you. And so, again, just really trying to welcome them into a safe space.
Yeah, because the alternative, and there's a lot of conversations taking place in San Diego about homelessness.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And what I always encourage everyone to think about is there's actually no such thing. It's a singular word called homelessness. There's so many different types of homelessness.
Absolutely.
The teen issue is very different
Absolutely.
than someone who's been chronically homeless for 20 years.
Yep.
Versus, let's say, a domestic violence, a woman with children.
Yep.
There's always different types. But this one is really, really so important to understand better, because I don't think when we think homelessness, not enough people in this community think about, like, hey, someone like my 15-year-old daughter could be sleeping on the streets unless she has something like Storefront. That's an unacceptable, world.
Charles, can you talk a little bit about your involvement with them and with your daughter?
Well, my original connection, and again, this isn't about me. This is about youth services and the work they do. So I'll do it in a way that reflects upon their work, because I was involved with an organization in San Diego called the Tucson Academy, and we don't have enough Tucson Academies in San Diego, which can provide long-term, permanent stability and comfort and warmth and support for teens. But a lot of young people who are on the streets found their way to Storefront. That welcomes with open arms and gets them comfortable and figures out what's next. Because imagine the strength it takes for some young person to walk away from their home.
Yep.
I mean, it's incredible. So my connection goes back to them, really to the late 90s when I was with Tucson Academy. And they were probably the single biggest source of students that would come to the Tucson Academy, where we had permanent housing. They could stay for 4 years and get them through potentially college. And we had a school on property that was run in connection with the San Diego County Office of Education. Give them a shout out. So, and the key is, but for youth services, they're doing incredible work of stabilizing these young people, nurturing them, figuring out what's next, because you're not a permanent shelter at Storefront. How long can they stay with you?
So it's really dependent on just like the nature of what's going on with the youth. Sometimes we have youth stay with us for up to a week, sometimes 2, sometimes even longer than that. It's really just dependent on like who their support systems are outside of Storefront. So sometimes we'll have youth stay for, a month or even 2, right, before we even try to find something that's more long-term, as you were mentioning, because there really isn't anything out there that's very long-term like that. So, obviously there will be some special circumstances. Again, we just need to make sure that that's, that's appropriate, that's okay. I mean, the team, we meet weekly, if not daily, to try to figure out, okay, what are some plans for each and every single one of the youth that are coming into the shelter. And so it really just depends on what's going on with the youth, with the young person.
So we're going to take a little bit of a break, and then when we get back, let's talk a little bit more about all of these services, including housing, because I think you're addressing the need in your own unique way at San Diego Youth Services. So we'll finish that conversation when we come back. You've been listening to Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, doing amazing things for San Diego for over 60 years, and we'll be right back to continue the conversation with Haley Veniegas from San Diego Youth Services.
When you do your banking with Mission Fed, you get great rates on auto and home loans. That's good for you, but something good also happens for a lot of other people. We're not for profit, so we put money back into the community to help lots of great nonprofits to keep San Diego strong. So you're not just getting something good, you're doing something good. Come to Mission Fed. It's banking that's good for all.
Brand amplification is the DNA of Cloudcast Media, and our code is the powerful blending of sound, voice, and storytelling to lift local brands and their communities. Whether it is our Brandcast, Schoolcast, or Causecast platforms, the unifying ethos is all about this community, the one you call home. If you dare to dream and want to explore the brand amplification of Cloudcast, a national leader in local podcasting and other Winfluence strategies, please visit us at cloudcast.us. And we are back to Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community. I'm Charles Priesty filling in for Drew, and here with Kristen Fogel, his usual co-host. Kristen, I'll tell you, I'm sure this is touching you in a lot of ways as a parent of a young child.
Yeah.
That we have, youth that are finding themselves on the streets of San Diego. But fortunately, there's organizations like San Diego Youth Services that are stepping up and doing what needs to be done because they're all of our children. And so we're here with Haley Veniegas to talk about how they do that. How do you embrace, the youth of our community and make sure that their lives can enjoy the lives that so many other young people enjoy, basically because of the genetic lottery. Mm-hmm. It's just luck sometimes when you end up with a house or parents that work. Yeah. Just lucky sometimes.
I want to hear about some of the other services like housing and things like that. And this is probably something you don't know about me, Charles. But when I was in the magazine industry, I did a lot of like celebrity journalism and interviewing different people. And I do this on the show a lot too. Is I'm always interested in people's origin story, how they got to do the type of work they do, because I think, especially as a young person too, you're like, I have interests and things that have happened to me, and so I'm interested to see, how did you find your way into this sort of work? Did you have a personal connection? Did you just kind of like fall into it?
Yeah. Well, so when I started off with the agency, I actually was working very closely within the juvenile justice system. So I was a case manager. I'm a case manager at heart, looking at all the resources that's out there in the community to support families. And so how I kind of got here was, I would say personal connections. I do have a family member that is actively experiencing homelessness to this day. And, you think it's so easy to just give them all the resources left and right. But honestly, at the end of the day, it's all about what that individual also wants. And I feel like that's definitely given me a perspective of, it's not ever really about my expectations and what I want for others, right? Of course, we all want to do great. We all want to do good by other people and for other people. But I think we also have to think about what is realistic for the people that we're working with, and what makes the most sense for them at that point in time. And I feel like, I wouldn't say that, the universe led me to S2IS or San Diego Youth Services in that way, that just happened. But I definitely feel, just like that connection in terms of how I got into, I was starting off with juvenile justice, and then we went into looking at, okay, well, it's not just about, youth and families involved in law enforcement. Let's look at the other factors that are going on with them that are impacting that, which includes housing and what that looks like for them, right? Because that's another factor, of that could lead to certain choices that are made. And, and now here we are, and we're couch surfing, right? Charles mentioned that homelessness, there isn't just, it's not just people living out on the streets. It's not, we have folks who are actively couch surfing, who are living in their cars, who are living in RVs, and constantly moving from place to place, from one program to another, and there's just really no stable housing, right? So I want to say just some of those experiences have definitely led me to just reflect on a lot of like what I'm doing to contribute to the community and help and support. And I'm so happy that I've been with San Diego Youth Services for 8 years now. And I think just every single interaction that I've had with a young person or a family has really just solidified my reasoning for being here, you know? And again, just validating a lot of those experiences that I had and that I currently have, just like with family members as well. Like it's kind of like what you mentioned. Sometimes it is just like the genetic lottery, right? And sometimes people are really lucky, and then there's the rest of us, you know? So, so I feel like, I don't know. I really love my job. I love what I do. I love, it is definitely challenging. There are definitely challenging days. And at the same time, we always like to think of it as us just planting seeds, right? So we're just planting seeds here and there. And we hope that these small steps or these little efforts that we're doing and making hopefully grow and flourish into something bigger and greater than us at the end of the day.
Well, you guys are doing amazing work. Charles and I were talking about just how huge SDYS is. And, you were saying before there are, 6 other directors, or there's 6 of you total? Or
there's 5 of us.
5 of you. I don't know. I made up a number. What are some of the other programs? Because I'm not as familiar with SDYS, unfortunately. So tell us about some of the other things that you all do.
Yeah. So San Diego Youth Services provides services from pretty much age 0 all the way up to 25. So we have a bunch of programs where we're working with the young ones, right? So a lot of like prevention and early intervention programs that are school-based. So we'll do a lot of like parenting groups. We'll do a lot of like social and emotional behavior supports. We have one program in particular, it's called PEI, Prevention and Early Intervention, where they use puppets in the classroom.
I'm listening.
Yeah, using a curriculum called The Incredible Years. And so we call them the dinosaur school because their principal is a dinosaur, Dinah. So that's really fun for the schools. And then we also have a lot of services to support mental health, right? So we have 3 Medi-Cal clinics pretty much throughout the county, providing services to youth and families there. So we have one located like in East County. We have a couple in like Central, right? And then from there, it just kind of expands into drop-in centers. So that way youth have a safe place to go. And then also looking at our LGBTQ plus services as well. So we have one program called Our Safe Place that provides mental health services. So whether that's individual or family therapy or group therapy to youth who are identifying with the community, with their families, and then again, just like drop-in centers there. And then we have our housing piece, right? So we have the shelters. So I oversee Storefront Youth Emergency Shelter. We just opened up, or it's in the works, but we are partnering with the center and the YMCA with the support of the city and the county for our LGBTQ plus Safe Stay Wellness Center. Cool. Very, very long name. I also sometimes call it Arte Shelter, but it is specific to youth who are between the ages of 18 to 24 that are identifying within the LGBTQ plus community. And then we also have transitional housing, right? We also provide support and resources for rapid rehousing, hotel vouchers. I mean, the list kind of goes on and on and on, you know? And so we really try to encompass just like the whole entire family, which I think is awesome. And I think is so amazing for this agency because they realize, or we realize that, you know, it's not just the youth. It's not just the young person, right? We need to support their parents, their legal guardians, their siblings, right? So we try to do our best to have as many services to fill those gaps. And by no means are we perfect, right? You know, there's always going to be something out there. But what I really appreciate and love about the agency is that we do our best to try and fill those gaps as much as possible. So that way there's just always that continuum of care from ages 0 all the way up to when they're 24 or 25.
I have a question for you. Homeless. Talk a little bit about when a teen finds their way to youth services. How important is it for you to get hope in their own minds and hearts?
Oh, man. Well, I will say since I've been a director, kind of like the age range that I've seen lately, especially overseeing the shelter, has been between 12 to 15. Yeah. And when we talk about hope, right, I think what we really try to do is try to find the strengths within that young person. I think for so long they are, just they're looking for something. They're looking for resources. They're looking for love. They're looking for affection, somewhere safe, and they don't know where to go. And as soon as they walk into our sites, right, we do our best to have that even be an intervention, right? To have the space itself be a calm and welcoming space for them. And then from there, really just try to meet them where they're at. I think, we, again, are looking at, it's not about our expectations. It's just trying to meet you as a young person where you're at and really get down to, okay, how did you get here? Do you feel okay? Are you safe? Are you hungry? Those are typical questions that we usually ask when a young person walks in and finds out about our shelter, because sometimes even though we do get referrals from the community, a lot of the times too, it's just the community within the streets sometimes, right? Mm-hmm. Like we have youth who are actively out there and then are also like, hey, come with me over to this place that I've been staying at, and then from there, again, we just try to do our best to have a safe space for them.
And it's so important. I'm going to mention something that I actually don't know if the data still holds, but I do remember back in the day. And again, I think it's important for, to hear this when you talk about your LGBTQ new center that you're working on, is back in the day, the number one reason why teens were asked to leave their home is they told their parents they were gay.
Yep.
I don't know if does that still hold true?
Yes, unfortunately, there still are situations where when youth share who they are and express who they want to be, unfortunately, there are families out there who are not okay with that. And because of that, it does lead them to seek other places that are not their homes. So, and it's unfortunate, right? Again, 1970 we started and here we are, 2024, still providing the services, which is awesome. And, what else can we do to provide that support and fill those gaps?
Right. Haley, in the little bit of time we have left, give us a feel for where are we with teen. Let's focus on teen because your services are so broad.
Yeah.
Teen homelessness, what's the latest count? I hate the word, but it's so clinical, but where are we?
Yeah, so with our latest point in time count that we had for this past year, I want to say we surveyed about 8,000 to 10,000 individuals. And out of those individuals, we found that there was about 2,000 young people still experiencing some form of unstable housing. And, we often call the teens or this TAY population the invisible population when it comes to homelessness. And that's just because they honestly just blend so well in the community, right? They are very they're savvy. They're young people, right? They find their way. They're very resourceful. But unfortunately, that number is still so high. And so that shows that there is still a very, very big need for housing resources, for shelter resources, and really just anything that we can do to try to get young people off the streets. Yeah.
That's great. How can what do you need? What do you need, whether it's at the storefront? Give us a feel of the community, some of the needs you have.
Yeah. So I want to say a lot of the needs that we have, honestly, a lot of it is just making sure that we are working closely with our communities, with our funders, with our, just the local San Diego community to have as much funding as we can to provide these services, right? Because they are very much needed. When we come down to actual like material objects that we need, I mean, we really appreciate, all the clothing, all the food. I think food in general has just been such a, we all know inflation, right? Everything is so expensive nowadays. So I think food, especially when you're feeding a bunch of hungry teenagers, right? They're just nonstop eating, which is awesome. So we definitely want to see and have a lot of those items ready and available for our young people. But I think other things that some folks don't think about is just having more access to showers, having more access to washer dryers for like laundry services. So I really think any way that we can connect with the community where, we can provide some of these services would be awesome for the young people that we're helping out that may not have a lot of the kind of daily things that some of us privileged folks have, even down to like just mattresses and making sure that we have the right amount of linens and blankets and all of those great things. So, but hey, we love donations. We love looking for any ways to help support and fund these programs, right? And again, big shout out to the city, to the county, to all the folks that support our agency and really trying to help us with our mission. I would say that those would be some of the things that we need.
What do you think, Kristen?
I think that's great. I have like 75 other questions, so we need to get them back in here and, deep dive and some other stuff.
Yeah.
That's a good point. We're going to have you come back in a little more regularly because this work, I just want the community to listen to this episode and visualize in your mind 12, 13, 14-year-old young boys and girls that have nowhere to go except to perhaps San Diego Youth Services and the Storefront, and then you get stabilized and get on that trajectory of thriving and out of that survival mode, which is so unhealthy in a million different ways. And if we truly are going to be America's finest city, it's time to step up
acting like
and act, not just be at a label, but kind of live up to the label. The self-anointed label of America's finest city. So let's all do better. You've been listening to Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community. I've had the privilege of filling in for Drew. My name is Charles Parisi with Cloudcast Media. Been here with Kristen Fogel, and we've had a wonderful conversation with Haley Veniegas, San Diego Youth Services. She's one of the directors of services at Youth Services. And Haley, I just want to say, God bless to you and your soon to be born
Thank you.
baby. And I know you're a kind soul. I'm looking at a kind soul, and he or she is going to have hit the genetic lottery with you.
Thank you.
So thank you for being here. And to all of our listeners, thank you for listening in. And thank you to Mission Fed Credit Union for doing amazing things for San Diego for 60 years, including the curation of conversations like we just enjoyed with Haley Veniegas, San Diego Youth Services. Thank you, and come back soon.
You've been listening to an episode of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego community. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
Cloudcast Media.